we're going to do some bentwood rings, or at least a couple, or one, or something. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and cut these all up in this video. We'll see what happens from there. I am not good at telling what type of wood something is. I'm pretty sure this is bird's eye maple. The rest of it, I honestly don't know. I'm going to have to look it up because these are all an assortment pack from Sowers, however you pronounce it. If you know what these are, I appreciate somebody telling me, unless I have them on the screen now because I actually looked it up and figured it out. Or if I'm wrong, let me know. Anyway, okay, so to do a bentwood ring, just trying to decide. I didn't want to take up everything on that side. So you go ahead and get a cutting board to work off of, and you go for whatever width you're looking for. In this case, I'm going to do 10 millimeters or so for each cut, and that should be enough to work with. So I'm just going to cut all these up, and probably some others that I have laying around, and then we'll get to the next step. I know a lot of people roll these first and then sand the ends, and that doesn't work as well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and sand all these, and all you're doing is like this, and I believe this is 120 grit, yeah. And you could use a belt sander, but all you're doing is taking it down so that it's not as thick on the edge to make rolling it easier. Alright, so you use boiling-ish water, and then you can start putting the wood in. Let those sit for a bit, and then you can start pulling them out. I'm rolling them on a piece of, I believe it's 5/8 inch plastic. It's acetal, Delron, that kind of thing. And just using some blue tape to keep it on there. So let's go ahead and pick one. Some of these I know from experience do not roll well. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a try though. And that one just split, so we'll toss that one, grab the next, okay. That one has quite a few bends in it instead of a smooth transition, so this one will probably crack as well. We might be able to use it with some epoxy, but I'll go ahead and give it a try. So what I do is start taping it up. And slide it down to the other end so I can work on the same end each time. You can just let those sit out to dry for a day or two. I'm going to toss them in the dehydrator at, I don't know, 105 degrees or so for a few hours, and that should take care of it. Alright, these have completely dried. Next step, you're going to need something to act as a mandrel in order to wrap them around to the correct ring size. A socket set is what's normally recommended, simply because you have a wide variety of sizes. A 1/2 inch in this socket is right at a 7, a little over, and a 9/16 socket is almost a 10. So it doesn't look that much larger, but it's a huge difference in ring sizes. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull these off and get started. So we have all of these ready to go. You do want to wrap the sockets or whatever you use as a mandrel in something that the super glue won't stick to, and that can be kind of challenging. What does work is Tyvek tape. Stuff is expensive. It's like $20 a roll, but it works really well. So go ahead and wrap these sockets up in it. Now some of these split. This one cracked a few times. That one probably isn't going to work. This one has a very bad habit of doing this. The rest of them look like they should work. So let's go ahead and try these first, since I have a feeling they're not going to work well. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the larger. So all you do is roll it onto the new mandrel. And I just snapped it. You're not supposed to do that part. Alright. Start winding it on the new mandrel. And when you're sure you've got that nice and tight, go ahead and add a little super glue. And then hold that. And you can use some accelerator if you have it. And then you just keep working it all the way around. If it's nice and tight, you can actually go the whole way and then just glue it at the end. If it doesn't lay tight, then you'll have to glue it periodically. So I might be able to do this one just in a single. Alright, so that's good. I can go ahead and slip this off. Should be able to. And then I can go in and just add thin CA all the way around the edges to get it to lock in completely. And just work through the rest of them. So here's the result. There's quite a few more than what were shown on the video being made. So let's go ahead and work through the process for these. Alright, so first I sand off the ridge that's on the inside, and then I go ahead and sand the inside completely smooth. I trim the edge down flush, and then I take a grinder and do a comfort fit. Flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Again, grinding it smooth, and then grinding the bevel for the comfort fit. Then it's time for the CA. About 2 to 3 coats on each side to make sure that you get the edge. Thin CA, you can use an accelerator if you need to, and then it's lightly sanded. And again, you just do the other side to make sure you're getting the edges. Once that's finished, I switch over to micro mesh and work about halfway up the micro mesh, so to about 6,000, 7,000 grit. Then I put it on mandrel, start turning the face until it's completely flush and smooth. And then some quick sanding. Alright, so this is what I currently have out of everything. Some split apart, some broke. Different kinds of issues with some of them. The ones I expected to. So anyway, so here's what I have. If they're perfect or they look really good, then you can just go ahead and finish them, obviously. But if they have little issues like those where there's some gaps in the glue, you can either touch it up, or you can just take a Dremel or whatever grinder you have to it and kind of grind into it, give it a rustic look. So just using the grinder, I go ahead and do some patterns on each one of them, just showing the one here. Sand it down real quick, make sure all the dust is wiped off completely, and then do 3 to 5 coats of thin CA. You can use an accelerator if you want to speed up the process. And then I go ahead and sand it with micro mesh from 1500 grit to 12,000 grit. Some I sand more than others, just kind of depends. So here's the results of that. I think I started with, I don't know, 15 or so. I've got 4 that I didn't mess with over here. And I've got, what, 2, 4, 6, 7. And so 3 ended up being too bad to be able to work with. It's actually not bad. So here's what I came up with. All of the designs were done with, this one has nothing. This one's just a plain band. Well, it's 2 different woods, but still just a plain band. And this one looks almost like an antler. That one has some ridges cut into it. That one just has some lines. That one's kind of random. And that one has some ridges. So everything except for the lines was all done with a 120 grit medium-sized sanding drum. So it gives you an idea of what you can do with just a simple tool. This one was done with a carbide tip that I just held in place. So that's it. I am shocked by this one. I didn't think I'd pull off a antler looking design. So overall, it's not bad. I put way too much time into it, to be quite honest, because I kept going back and trying other things. But the results are pretty good. So look forward to your comments. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And until next time, thanks for watching.